Small World Vacations is proud to sponsor today's podcast. Their team of 40 agents are authorized Disney vacation planners and are recommended by MouseSavers.com. They're dedicated to your dreams and your dollars. Get your free price quote at wdwvacations.com. Small World Vacations, where the magic begins. This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Monday, December 31st, 2007, and this is episode 351 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hodgeberg of StudioCentral.com. On the show today, we have Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding. Also on the show, we have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome.
Oh, sorry, that was me with the champagne bottle. Sorry.
Pour the bubbly. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Dick Clark looks pretty good, though, don't you think?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, no, his face is holding up real well this year.
He's doing all right.
Also here is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com and All Ears Net. Welcome, Mike.
Into the contest. Yeah, we lost.
Muppets.
Speaking of which, do you know what Waldorf's wife's name is?
No.
Astoria.
I was going to say, it's got to be another hotel.
That's great.
Very good. So on today's show, we have an interesting topic. Mike Scopa, why don't you tell our listeners about what we're talking about today?
Yeah, we're thinking about this. I know that there are some people that just never get around to doing this. And what happens if you arrive at Walt Disney World for your Walt Disney World vacation and you don't have a single advanced dining reservation? What do you do? Are you going to be shut out of all the restaurants? What kind of steps can you take to possibly get a reservation at a sit-down restaurant? So we're going to talk about that.
We call it the Len Testa situation.
Yes.
Do you know who I am? I'm Lou Mangello.
So where shall we begin? Dinner, dining reservations?
Yeah.
Okay. So you arrive, Walt Disney World, no dining reservations, and you want to eat at a sit-down restaurant, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, these are general guidelines, obviously. Given the time of year, things can change, obviously. But what would be some good guidelines to start out with in terms of trying to get last-minute sit-down reservations or just last-minute sit-down meal?
One of the things I would do, depending upon which park you're in, let's say you're in, let me see. Let's say you're in the Magic Kingdom, and you would like a lunch ADR at the Plaza Restaurant. I would first call WW Dine on my cell phone and see if I can make a reservation. And if they can't, then I would walk up to the podium and try there, because sometimes the database doesn't catch up with what's really going on at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a practice that I would suggest to everybody.
I remember, Scopa, didn't you, I want to say it was either October, I think it was the October trip or maybe in August, didn't you get you walked up to, was it Le Cellier or something? I know you were with your wife, and there was a last minute thing. Do you remember this? You told us that you walked up to the counter and you were talking about something along those lines. Is this ringing a bell at all?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Too many trips. I don't remember, Matt.
Okay. Well, anyway, the other thing is also don't waste your time. Also, a lot of times you can also go to restaurants you think have a better chance of having a last minute availability. Yep. Walking up to Le Cellier, probably not the most effective use of your time.
Not unless you have your friend George Washington with you.
George Washington.
Benjamin.
I doubt that Mr. Grant would help you in that case, although I'd love for someone to give it a try and see what happens.
One of the things I've tried, and it has worked for me, it worked for me at Food and Wine, is that sometimes I would call on the morning of a day in which I'd like to make an ADR. I did that on one of the last days I was there for the Tower of Terror race, and I got a reservation at Boma on that day. I called between 7 and 7:30, and I was able to get something. That usually works for me also.
Yeah. No, it's a good tip also. Obviously, I also want to say that probably resort restaurants are going to be a little bit easier than park restaurants in order to get a last minute reservation.
I think so too, yeah.
What else is another last minute thing you have on there, Scopa?
Boy, let's see. Well, there are obviously some restaurants which we have mentioned in the past that should always have openings, and specifically in Epcot, we're talking about Mr. Newell's favorite restaurant, Nine Dragons, and Morocco. Nine Dragons, to me, doesn't have the quality of food that I think Morocco has. I think Morocco has very good quality. So those are two restaurants. Yeah,
you know what else you can get into too, and I thank Hotchberg for this. You can get into Brown Derby.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because it's pretty darn expensive.
I didn't notice that it was much more expensive than. Of course, the last time I ate dinner in Walt Disney World, it was $800, and I have you guys to thank for that. But
well,
I didn't recognize that it was that much more expensive.
It's more expensive, and the menu is definitely more adult. It's limited, and the options aren't fried chicken. Yeah. It's not up to Lisa Ferry standards for fried chicken. It's just it's a sophisticated palate, I would say. So you might want to consider it. I think that plays into it, but that's a good point, Len.
Cool.
What are some other last-minute things besides dining, Scopa?
I was hoping that someone else would be able to come up with some.
Well, how about a rental car? Show up at the airport.
Oh,
you could probably do that.
Yeah, most places. I mean, unless you're going on like Thanksgiving or like a major holiday that's really going to impact it. Most places are going to have something available to you. Would you? I have no experience in this. I have not done this, but would being a member of like a Hertz #1 Gold or one of those kind of programs, is that going to do anything for you in terms of getting you a better deal? Would you think?
Sometimes it does. So. Sometimes it doesn't get you a better deal though. Sometimes Mary Waringwell actually says this on the Mouse Saver site. There are instances where if you tell the companies like Budget or Dollar you're a member, you'll occasionally get a slightly higher rate than if you just get the general rate.
That's interesting.
I think that's true if you use them sparingly, but if you have a solid history of being a dedicated customer, they may be a little bit more lenient. They probably won't take you to the cleaners because they know that if they tick you off too much, then they're going to lose a very loyal and dedicated customer.
Maybe so. The one thing I will notice, or I will say too, is if you rent from the same companies over and over again, you do tend to get upgraded much more often than if you're a first timer or a second timer.
This is true.
Yeah. So
got myself a free day coming up.
Woo.
So how about a hotel? I know, Len, you've done this about. Seems like every trip, but you've done it pretty often where you last minute hotel stay. What are some tips you'd offer there?
So a couple of things. One is rarely do I check Expedia or Orbitz or anything like that. Typically what I'll do is look for the stuff that doesn't usually pop into the top 30 or 50 searches for that. I actually do use the book quite a bit for these. There are some hotels, and we've talked about this before, like the Magic Castle Inn and Suites, that don't participate in the big booking engines. That they're useful for getting a good last minute deal. In fact, I told someone called me today on my cell phone. Somebody looked me up and somehow got my cell phone number. I guess I don't know how, from work or maybe from the show or something, and called me today. Needed a reservation for next week, for Christmas week. Sorry, for this week, for the week between Christmas and New Year. And I gave them Magic Castle Inn and Suite, and they got reservations for $63 a night.
Wow, not bad at all.
Yeah, so you kind of have to go off the beaten path, and you have to look for very specific non-chain hotels. But it can definitely be done. And if you can't go luxurious, then at least get a good deal. That's what I always say.
Yeah, because the flip side is that if you want to stay on Disney property, last minute, they tend to be like the really, really expensive rooms that are available.
Yeah, so it's like you're either going to get a 2-bedroom villa at the Wilderness Lodge or a 3-bedroom at Old Key West. Those are the things that are open right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway,
Now, let me throw this out there. We've been talking about, last minute things like dining. How about showing up at the park last minute? Like, you didn't show up there for opening. You showed up and said, you woke up, you tried to sleep in. It was 9 a.m., 10 a.m. and say, why don't we go to the park today? So you show up at the park, at a 10:30, 11, 12-ish. What are some tips that you would go with there?
I defer to the Lord of the unofficial guide.
Yeah, for when you're doing that, midday can be really, really crowded. I would start looking for shows and for attractions that have a constant loading, because those
forget
are
the
things
headliners.
You're not going to do headliners. You might want to grab a fast pass for your most critical attractions, But at that point, really, the only thing you can really do are shows in the constant loading attractions. If you want to start waiting in line for an hour, 90 minutes or something for some attractions, I guess you could start doing that then, but I wouldn't advise it. I'd rather just try and wait the crowds out.
Yeah,
that'd be my philosophy.
You can also invest in some riding attractions. Might be a good opportunity to check out some entertainment in other forms. Like, at the studios, you've got Streetmosphere. At World Showcase, you have the what's it called? The World Showcase Players. Or perhaps
those are fun.
or perhaps some of the shows over there. Different options that are out there. So maybe this is a good opportunity for you to try something off the beaten path.
Yeah.
What are have you guys experienced any other, kind of last minute tips in general? Sometimes these tips can kind of, go over a couple different categories. It's hard to really categorize one or the other in terms of, in your general experience. Some general philosophies just work a lot better. I would say, when you're in the studios, for example, crowds and things tend to be a little bit easier the farther away you are from Sunset Boulevard. So that means around the Mama Melrose area. And, speaking of Mama Melrose, we were talking about dining before. If you could also sneak in perhaps a dining option that's off hours, the 3 o'clock dinner,
And it was Mama Melrose. That was the restaurant that Carol and I walked into.
That was the one. There you go.
Mama Melrose. And it was very good.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think it's because it's hidden in a corner that most people forget about it, and they don't realize that. We walked right in. She said, "What would you like to eat?" How about 12? That's fine.
Yeah. It's just a lot of those kinds of, theories just tend to work for the most part. I'm trying to think of what other kind of, opportunities where I've just kind of meandered in somewhere and it's like, hey, let's try something like this. Can you guys think of anything that's kind of that falls under the category of last minute tips that generally work?
Last minute tips. Get the dining. There's really no break on tickets unless you're buying it from the official ticket center or Maple Leaf Tickets or something like that. You've got the car. You've got the hotel. You got the attractions. Last minute airfare is tricky. If you're for last minute airfare, I've been looking at things places like Airbus and Allegiant Air, sort of your low cost discount carriers, and I wouldn't be above an hour and a half or 2 hour drive to that airport to save some money.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's some options to consider.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Happy New Year.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio. Small World Vacations is proud to sponsor today's podcast. Their team of 40 agents are authorized Disney vacation planners and are recommended by MouseSavers.com. They're dedicated to your dreams and your dollars. Get your free price quote at WDWVacations.com. Small World Vacations, where the magic begins.